In this section, we will discuss about the forwarding plane into the MPLS VPN. So let's start. So we have the route here 7.7.7 at R7. Let's advertise it into BGP. So I will go to R7 and we already have this route, I guess. Show BGP VPN v4 unicast null. No, so let's advertise it. So let's go to R7. Sorry, it's the customer edge router. So show IP BGP. So already the 7.7 prefix is advertised to our CE2 that we already seen into our previous video, that is the control plane, right? So if I go to R5, let's just verify that we have this information. Show IP route. Yes, we have the reachability, right? Let's also try to trace it. Traced out 7.7.7 source loop back 0. So we are able to perfectly reach our destination. So now let's see how this information travels across the MPLS VPN. Okay, so I just quickly uh, draw this all the information. So from here we advertise the subnet, right, or the prefix 7.7.7/32. So because we are running the BGP here, so we do not need any redistribution or something. So PE1 is going to receive 7.7 into the BGP, and because we are running the VRF customary on the interface which is going to the CE1, so the VPN v4 prefix is going to be generated, right? And what is the VPN v4 prefix? That is the RD value. What is the RD value at our PE1? That is 1:7 and the prefix 7777/32. So this is the VPN v4 route, right? What will be the next hop? The next hop will be 1.1.1, because between PE1 and sorry, this is not R2, so you can consider it as RR, because in our topology we are using the route reflector. So because we are having the neighborship with PE1 and the route reflector as using the loopbacks. So the next hop will be 1.1.1 for this particular update, and the RD value or the route target value, that will be 100:100 that we are using here. You can see, right, the route target export value. Also, let's check what is the VPN label that PE1 generated for this particular prefix into its LFIB. So let's move to PE1 and we will check show MPLS forwarding table. And now you can see for 7.7.7 in the bracket, and this I also discussed that if you see anything like this, it means that this is the VPN v4 label that is generated by the MPBGP process. So you can see for 7.7.7 the label generated by PE1 or the MPBGP is 107. You can also open this information like this: show BGP VPN v4 unicast all and the prefix information. Now you can see once PE1 receives this information, it created one label or one VPN v4 label for this, that is the 107. Let's go back to our diagram. So the VPN label generated by PE1 is 107, right? Yes. So now PE1 is going to send this particular information to route reflector, and now route reflector is going to send this particular information to R3, R9 and PE2, because at R3 and R9 we are not using any import value, so R3 and R9 are not going to accept this, so PE2 will receive this particular information, right? So now at PE2 it is going to inspect it, and it is going to find out that what is the RT value in the update, that is 100:100. Now it is going to match against each of the VRF that it is having configured. So it will find out eventually that yes, it is having one VRF named customer A, and under that VRF it is importing 100 colon 100, which it received into the update from the route reflector, right? So it is going to install this particular route into the BGP table or into the VRF table, and the VRF is VRF customer A, right? And between PE2 and CE2 also we are running the BGP. So now PE2 is going to send this particular prefix to CE2. So finally CE2 will receive it, right? So this part we already know. So now what will happen into the reverse direction? So CE2 is going to uh, send the packet or send the traffic to PE2 when it wants to communicate to 7.7.7. So PE2 is going to receive this information onto the VRF enabled interface. So it is going to check the VRF table, and it will finally find out that yes, it received the information of this prefix 7.7.7 from the route reflector OS 2.2.2, right? And what is the next hop for that? That is 1.1.1. So let's find out. Let's check at PE2. Let's go to PE2. So once PE2 receives the traffic from R5, right? It is going to receive this into the VRF enable interface. So it is going to check show IP route VRF. VRF name is customer A. So now it it will eventually find out that yes, I have the information of 7.7. And what is the next hop? The next hop value is 1.1, but you can see here into the VRF table there is no 1.1, because 1.1.1 is a part of global routing table. But there is the exception here into the VPN v4, because we are running the VPN v4. So now it knows, PE2 knows that it needs to look into the global routing table and needs to find out this particular prefix. So now if you check here show IP route into the global routing table, it has the information of 1.1, right? It is receiving this particular prefix via OSPF that we are running into our MPLS backbone, right? So now if you open this prefix show BGP VPN v4 unicast all 7.7.7.7/32. So now you can see it receives this information, right? Oh, sorry, we are at route reflector. Let me go back to R4. Show BGP VPN v4 unicast all 7.7.7/32. So now you can see the information here. It receives the information uh, from 2.2.2. So 2.2 is the route reflector, right? Because we do not have direct neighborship between R1 and R4. So it receives the information from R2, but what is the next hop value? That is 1.1.1, and this is the default behavior of the route reflector, right? It is not going to change the next hop value. It will be preserved. So who originated this particular subnet 7.7.7 route reflector? It was R1, right? Or PE1. Here you can see the originator is PE1 or 1.1.1, right? And the cluster list, you already aware about it. This is the router ID of RR. Just to avoid the loop, RR just generated this or created this cluster list and put its own router ID. And you can also see here the very important information in that is the label information. So what is the label that it needs to put into? That is 1.7, right? And this 1.7 label was generated by whom? This was generated by PE1, right? So now this particular information it is going to send to, and also so now because now it needs to send this particular information to onto the MPLS enabled interface. Now it needs to find out what is the label number for the next hop 1.1.1. So what will be the next hop? it is going to find out into the forwarding table or MPLS forwarding table, so or LFIB, right? So for to reach 1.1.1, what is the next hop value? So its local label is 4045, and you can see here the outgoing label will be 903. So that is why I set the label range uh, according to our age, so that just looking at the label information, we can find out what is the router number who generated this label. So you can see here the label is starting with 9, so it means that R9 generated this label. So it is going to put, so what is the label number that it needs to put on this particular information is 903, for which prefix it is going to do this operation, that is for 1.1.1/32, and the outgoing interface to send this particular information is serial 3 by 2 here, right, which is connected to R9. Okay, so the label number is 903. So it is going to put here the IGP label 903. Let's do it with the same color. So the IGP label will be 903, right? So now let's clean it a bit. So the original subnet or the destination is 7.7.7. Next hop is 1.1.1. The VPN label was here it is 107, and the VPN label is 107, and the IGP label or the transport label. So we also call it the transport label. Okay, so the transport label or the IGP label is 903. Now PE2 is going to send this particular information to R9. Now this is very important. Now you can see route reflector is not even coming into the forwarding plane, but the actual information PE2 received from R2 via this link, right? But now when we are forwarding the traffic in the actual data flow, R RR is not even coming into the picture, right? So this is very important. So now P2 is going to send this particular information to R9. Now R9 is going to check what is the top level or what is the IGP level that it received, because this is the MPLS enabled interface. So it received this information with the label, not this one, because this is the bottom level, right? We should have write the IGP on the top. Let's clean it quickly. So the IGP label was 903, and the VPN label is 107, right? So now R9 receives this particular information on a MPLS enabled interface. So it is going to inspect, okay, what is the top level? The top level or the IGP level here is 903. Now it is going to find out what is my remote label for this particular label 903. So it is, let's log into the R9 and let's find out. So it is going to check its LFIB show MPLS forwarding table. So for the label number 903, you can see here the operation that it needs to do is the POP label, right? Against 903, the label is POP label. It means that it needs to remove this particular label. Okay, so it is not going to check the VPN label, because the VPN label will be inspected by the destination or the PE1, right? So now R9 is going to remove this particular label, the IGP label, because for 903 or for the IGP label, it is having the label implicit null, and the behavior of implicit null label is that it is going to remove that particular label, and it will send the information like this. So now finally PE1 is PE1 is going to receive this particular information, right? So now PE1 receives the information with the label, on a MPLS enabled interface. So now it is going to check its LFIB, right? So it will check what is the, now it is going to check what it needs to do with this particular information. So it is going to check the LFIB. Let's go to PE1. So it is going to check show MPLS forwarding table, and now it knows that for label number 107 it needs to remove the label. Okay, it needs it needs to remove the label because it knows that it needs to send this information to fast ethernet 0 by 0, right? uh, where we do not have any MPLS, right? So now it knows that this is the VPN label, it needs to remove it, and it needs to send this particular information to fast ethernet 0 by 0. So finally this packet will be sent to CE1, right? So this is how the forwarding plane works. Okay, same thing is going to happen in the reverse direction. It is the labels will be inspected on each and every stage, and finally the response will be received by CE2. If you check it, CE2 R5, if you check the trace here, this is also a valuable information that you can find out into the trace. So when we trace from the CE device, which is R5, CE2, so the traffic first hit at the R4, which is the PE. So the PE device here, you can see the top label here and the VPN label here, right? So R9 received this information with two labels, right? The top label and the bottom label, or the VPN label. Then R9 sends this information, or you can say the PE1 receives this information with one label only, right? 107. And finally, R7 received the information without any label, right? So this is very useful. This is how we can have a look at the trace and find out what exactly is happening. So this was all about the MPLS forwarding plane. So if you like my videos, I would suggest to like and share to someone who wants to learn MPLS. So in our next section, we will start the OSPF protocol. That is that is a big topic into MPLS VPN, because we do have a lot of things to cover into the OSPF. So let's start OSPF in our next section. Thanks for watching.